Hi, welcome back to Far From Eden. You guys, I learned so much from this man. I'm so sorry that he's gone. He was educating a lot of women about what men are really looking for, what they value in women, and what they don't value in women. Particularly for me, it was learning that men don't really value your education and your career because it's not it doesn't mean anything to them. Women don't tend to use their resources that they've earned in their job for women. I mean, for the men, they use it for themselves. Women use their earnings on themselves and their offspring, and that that's sad, but it's true. And it's really sad that he's gone because I think he was just getting started. And my conspiracy theory brain is like, well, interesting that he's gone because he was saying things that could really repair the relationships between men and women. Because I would see over and over again, women would come to his channel and they would say, I've been listening to you and I've learned so much. And I don't think the overlords like that. But conspiracy theories are, for a different conversation. Today, I want to watch another one of his talks with a confused young lady, because I want to share with you my insights on what I think she's thinking and just, what she thinks she deserves. And it's kind of like, how did women get to where they have this skewed view of reality of what men actually want and what our goals should be and what should fulfill us? Like, it's so off base. But the propaganda is strong because the overlords don't want family. The overlords want division. And I will say constantly, we're really not at odds with each other. It's the state that is making it that way. So, by the way, before we get too far into it, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the video if you're so inclined. My little dog Lola reminds me, and she is in rare form tonight. She playing with her little treat ball here, and I put treats inside of it, and then she has to bat it around and stuff for the treats to come out, and it was wild. So yes, I am typical, woman with a dog. Typical. Anyway, without further ado, let's see what the Godfather has to say.
Women and high value men, are we compatible today?
I would say, like I was saying in the comments before they were turned off, I would say like 95% of modern women, I would say a no.
Okay.
And I would say that because I don't know, I feel like modern women nowadays just have such high standards and hold themselves in a position that's like, I wouldn't say lower, but just not in a position of understanding. Like they continuously say like, I deserve this, I deserve that, I need this and I need that for a man, but then they still have like no understanding of what a high quality man even like wants from a woman.
See what I mean? This lady has been paying some attention, right? She's part of the way there, which is encouraging. I'm optimistic by nature. So when I see the positives like that, I have a little celebration in my mind. But, it's only so much. She's off base with several other things.
Okay.
And it's like,
so how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 20. I'm going to be 22 this year.
Okay. Were you raised with your mother and father?
Huh?
Were you raised with your mother and your father?
Up until I was about 12. Then my mom raised me the rest of the way.
Hold on. I will free the comments as long as you guys act like you have some sense. Okay, so would you like to be married one day?
Yes.
Would you like children?
Yes.
I love that. So we've got more positives. She's 22 and she says definitively, yes, I want to be married, and definitively, yes, I want to have children. And when you think about it, nowadays, it's probably just been a few years. This is not that long ago, right? But nowadays, a 22-year-old woman, so many of them are like, well, I don't know, I'm still young. They think of themselves like they're kids. And I know that's true for a lot of younger men too. There's sort of an arrested development, which often can happen when you have a single parent household that the parent is the female. And but again, when she says I'd like to be married, what does that look like for her? And that's where we're going to get into a little bit of trouble.
How many?
I'd probably say no more than 3. I think that's sustainable.
So if you watch my show, you know I start asking, do you want to have to work to pay substantial bills after you're pregnant?
Yeah. I would say after I'm pregnant, I want to at least have like some work just to like stay, I would say, not bored, because
Red flag right there. I don't know if you guys, you men, would catch that as the giant red flag that it is. I'm not saying that she's a bad person for saying she would be bored if she didn't have a job. However, it's the mindset, right? The idea that I would be bored, so I need something to come and entertain me or fulfill me or what have you, rather than the attitude of, I will have things to do. I will, start a garden. I will take initiative to do projects, invest in my children, take care of my husband. If she knew anything at all, she would know that being a real wife and mother, there's no time to be bored. Not unless you were planning on soft life, right? And it also shows, and you might think I'm nitpicking, but if you're looking at, choosing a woman, you need to nitpick. She's also looking at a job like it's a hobby. She doesn't understand the actual value of work and the seriousness of it. And like, I get it. I am nitpicking, but she's 22. And if you were looking for a wife, which I suggest you don't, because it's not safe for men. So I am a big supporter of MGTOW. I think it's the only safe way. But some of you, you're just like stubborn, and you're just going to keep trying to find that needle in the needle stack. And that is where you should kind of probe. It doesn't mean that she's a terrible person, just means she doesn't have a mature mindset to really understand. How dare you to be like, I guess because I'll be bored. No.
I get bored, and I mean, like, I'm a woman.
After your youngest is first grade age, are we talking about working then?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, working. I wouldn't even say like a full-time job either, because I know
So
my man.
what that basically means is, if you have kids 1, 3, and 5 years old and stair step them, once your 5-year-old is going to first grade, you like to be able to have some work when your kids are gone during the day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part-time employment.
Other thing is that I, just because I appreciate Kevin Samuels and stuff, it does not mean I agree with everything he says. He's constantly talking about school and private school, but I never have heard him say anything about homeschool. And I am sorry, I don't trust public schools at all, and I don't think private schools are that much better, honestly. I think homeschool is the only way to go, so you know what your children are learning and you're with them, right? I don't think it's natural for, everybody to go off their separate directions during the day. I don't think that's the way families become strong and become close. But I understand that modern society has put that system into play where dad goes off to a career, rather than stay home on the farm or work in his, blacksmith shop or something. And I know I sound like a crazy Little House on the Prairie lady, but once you see how broken things are, I didn't start that way. Every time I thought about it, I kept having to go further back and further back and further back in history to find where things were actually right. And things were better when everybody wasn't going off in a different direction and just basically sleeping under the same roof. They don't even know each other. But anyway, homeschool, So yeah, once they're shipped off to government indoctrination school, then she'd like a little job to keep herself busy. You might as well, it's like a teenager, it's like she's not trying to be entitled and selfish and stuff like that, but she is. One thing my mother always told me, and I think she got right, she said, and it's a little harsh, she would say, only boring people get bored. You need to have the type of mind that takes responsibility for your own entertainment and your own, activities and stuff like that, rather than just, everything should just happen. I should just be entertained, stuff like that. And I am old-fashioned enough to think that, if you have a boss that you answer to, then are you really answering to your husband? Just saying. And I'm not saying that there should be laws that make that happen. And I don't think that women should be forced to do that at all. But how's this all working for us right now? It's not. It's not. And the women who think it is are going to get older and realize, like Kevin Samuels would say, you're going to buy a dog and die alone.
Employment, possibly working for your husband's business, that's still having the most of the responsibility fall on your husband. So what state do you live in?
I just moved to Arizona a couple months ago. I lived in Colorado.
Both beautiful states. So still you're looking at a man making around $300,000 a year. And at 22, what's the oldest man you've ever dated?
Right now I'm dating a 28-year-old, and he's like the oldest sexual partner I've ever had.
Okay.
That's a red flag too, is just to be that open and that easy to talk about who you've done stuff with. A little too flippant. Like you might as well be like, yeah, I played miniature golf. Like it should be more serious than that. People used to intimacy used to be intimate. So that's another place I see this woman not getting it, just not getting it at all. Just shouldn't be so casual.
Well, if for the kind of man you're talking about, the kind of income potential, you're going to be looking at a man closer to 40 years old. You just have to know that. And in this country, we're hesitant to tell women about age gap dating. But if you had some of my South American women, they would come in and say it's typical for men in their late 30s, early 40s to have wives in their early 20s. 35 would be on the low end, but because men just don't hit their financial stride from 45 to 55. But
yeah, and that's something I was gonna say is like a topic that would be kind of cool, is something along the lines of like younger people kind of building that together, because that's something like I talk about with my man all the time. Like he wants that, and that's something that we haven't solidified a exclusive relationship.
Uh-oh. Sounds like a situationship. Sounds like, the man will commit if he's serious about you. If he's not serious about you, he's going to, make excuses and put things off and stuff. And this young lady, well, let's just say home math wasn't a channel yet. So she didn't have the opportunity to see, if she was a sweeper or a sleeper or a keeper.
Until we are completely feeling like we have reached a goal end goal of where
So
we can.
if you are willing to work with the man as he's building, that's a different scenario. What you're talking about is early apartment living, going to a city or an economy that where one of you is going to have to be he's going to have to be the primary, but you should still have some sort of work until I would say you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And then, did you go to college?
No, I'm saving to go to college. I was gonna go to college right before this whole pandemic happened. So.
Oh, at 22 years old. Well, I mean, if you're going to college with science, engineering, technology, or math, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
He was ahead of his time saying that, honestly. And I don't think that the overlords like that either, because college is basically a scam, like he said, unless you're doing STEM. And especially, too, for women who are planning to be wives and mothers. What are you getting a degree for? And they'll tell you, because they told my generation this, oh, well, what if your husband starts beating you and just decides to leave you? And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And that's, you're completely operating in fear, and you're not trusting. And, you know, if you're that afraid and you don't have trust, I don't think you have any business getting married. You're gonna have to trust the person. And if you can't, if you're that skewed about who men are and what they're probably going to do, you're probably going to choose the bear. And we all know that's not the right choice. So a lot of women will, you know, get a backup plan. And that was what my generation was told to do. You know, get something to fall back on. Like, what if your husband gets sick or this or that? Well, there's disability insurance, there's life insurance. That's what that's for. You don't waste a bunch of money to get some baloney degree that you're probably never going to use. Anyway, I'm glad that that he was telling women that college degrees for wives and mothers are really stupid. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. I'm going for culinary. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm gonna go for culinary.
How's that gonna work with being a wife of 3 children? Those two things are in conflict. I worked in restaurants, and you want to be single, do that.
Yeah, I know. That's
so
where I'm at right now.
So what I'm sensing from you is you really don't know what you want to do. And
No,
at 22.
Sorry to interrupt again, but this is a great example of a young lady who's got a lot of good, you know, going for her, but she lacks the masculine influence to help guide and direct her. Like she said from her own mouth, she was raised from 12 years old on by her mother. And you can have the best mother in the whole entire world, but we have a mother and a father for a reason. We're supposed to have the feminine influence and the masculine influence, and they both do different things. And the father can't do all the things the mother can do as far as the feminine side and that sort of nurturing, and the mother can't do all the things that the father can do as far as directing, teaching accountability, guidance, etc. And this lady, she's just kind of all over the place, doesn't know which direction to go, right? It's wonderful that she called into Mr. Samuels. I wish I could like go, well, what happened after that? How's she doing now? That'd be fun. Somebody track these ladies down. We could find out, you know, how it turned out.
I would tell young women to really start asking yourself at 40 years old, what kind of lifestyle do you want? Do I want to be a wife, a mother? Where do I want to live? That kind of thing. And then you need to start thinking about the men who can make the kind of money to help provide that. And then what portion you want. I would strongly suggest not jumping back into school. School is a place where women especially tend to run when they don't have an answer, but that just can potentially put on more debt, more distraction.
I never knew that before either, that women have this habit of when they're not sure what to do, they go back to school. And then actually here lately, just listening to other people and the stories of people in their lives, I'm like, oh, they totally do that. And I think part of it is that they're not getting the men they want, so that they think if they go and get another degree, or, you know, they have more education, it somehow increases their value to a man. And it actually, if anything, goes the other way. Because what are you doing? You're increasing your debt, which makes you more of a liability. You know, who wants to, trust somebody that got into all that kind of debt or wasted that money for nothing? And also it shows that your priority is not on, being a wife and a mother. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. But you can't say, I want to be a wife and a mother, and then be over here getting all these degrees and da-da-da-da-da. They are completely separate avenues. And partly women do this because we have been told for the longest time that you can have it all. And you can't. They told us we could have it all, but they never, ever said anything about what the man wanted or that we should factor that in. And it's pretty bad that we didn't automatically think that. Like, I look back and I'm like, why didn't I even just think of that? Like, limitations of my woman brain, maybe.
I say that like that's something that I've always kind of been up in the air about. Like, I have so many passions and I love learning, but my man, I say, in a way, kind of pushes me to want to go to school, because I know that he's a man that wants a woman that's, passionate about something, or wants to, has a drive. And I've been talking.
So are you talking about your boyfriend?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one reason.
How long you guys been together?
It's gonna be 3 years in October.
Oh, well, y'all should be married or get the fuck on. I mean, I'm 3 years. You've been 19 and 28. If y'all ain't married, y'all playing. Okay, now we got a problem. If a 28 or 25-year-old.
She should have a father that's telling her this. And maybe she does, but she's not listening. Because, Kevin Samuel's going to tell it to her straight. He knows how men think. He knows that this 28-year-old, if he was serious, he'd marry her. And he's messing around. If it's been 3 years since she was 19, she's been with him. And now she's 22. This poor chick. She believes this man is, serious about her and just has to look, we have to get this done and we have to get this set and then he's stringing her along, and she does not see that. Women are so good at believing what we want to believe. And it sometimes you have to look at the facts and the logic of the situation and not just what you want it to be. And this is a big reason why I am such a prude. And I think that you just got to keep your legs closed until you are definitely in a serious exclusive relationship. And I won't say married, because I don't believe in government marriage, but till you have that commitment between each other and God. No, it's really not good, because this woman will convince herself that he's serious about her, and he'll just go ahead and let her think that. And so I just think that it's just not a good idea. And then, if she would have, not been physical with him, then he would have moved along to somebody else who would be that way. And then she wouldn't be in this sort of relationship. But women need to be accountable for getting into these relationships and being physical too quickly, because that's on us. We're the gatekeepers of that. She is the gatekeeper of the intimacy, of the bedroom fun, but the man is the gatekeeper of the relationship. And that is why they're having the bedroom fun, but they don't have the commitment.
Was dating a 19-year-old. What does he do for a living?
He went to college, but he's doing DJing and trading. So.
Oh, he ain't doing shit.
Yeah.
All right. So in other words, you would a loser. No, that ain't gonna work. Y'all playing. And here's the thing: he can play. You can't. You're 22. You need to get your shit together.
Yeah.
Because this may sound cool, mess around and waste your youth, and nobody gonna come along and patch that flat tire. Nope. 3 years, y'all ain't getting married, and you shouldn't be trying to marry no goddamn DJ. You should marry a man that got something else. So if you hear me, guy, I said it. You know you ain't marrying this woman because you can't provide for her. Stop smoking that shit. I didn't think I knew. Come on, man.
That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, you have to be serious. And that's the thing. You remember Bill Burr he said a joke where he said women are like that lizard where the one eye points this way and the other eye, like they go different directions. And that's where she is. You know, she's like, I'm going to go to culinary school and I'm, you know, whenever this happens, then we're going to be official. And it's this vague, you know, goalpost that they will never get to. And I don't think she's going to listen to Kevin Samuels about that guy and about the seriousness of their relationship because she doesn't want to. And so what will happen later? She'll blame him. But we're the gatekeepers and we have to take responsibility for that. But she doesn't have a dad to tell her this person is not a serious candidate. This person is messing around. He's not serious about you. But the women don't take the responsibility and they don't see the big picture. And I think Kevin's show was so good at displaying that. And it gives me such an opportunity to show you guys the little tiny things that are actually red flags that you might not realize because you're sort of like, oh, you kind of, it's fine. You don't realize how it will play out later. Like the whole, oh, I'm going to get a job because I get bored. That is not a grown-up woman. That's the way a child thinks. But I've been told before, and you guys tell me what you think, that the man is the parent, the father is the parent that brings the children into adulthood. The father is the one that teaches them accountability and that there are consequences for their actions and sort of establishes that order. And when you look at the single parent households, and not just the single parent households, but the households that were maybe the husband and the wife stayed together, but the wife was the primary disciplinarian or, you know, in charge of raising the children. And that's kind of where we are now. It's sort of this matriarchal, gynocentric parenting. And so you get sort of single mom outcomes from households where the parents stayed married. And I've noticed this the last few years. And this young lady, you know, there's so many things that are right with her, but in other ways, just completely lost and off track. We need men. You guys are vital. You're vital as fathers, as husbands, and not just as a wallet and a placeholder and somebody to kill the bugs. You know, things were so much better, in my opinion, when we respected men as just a matter of course. It was just like, they're men and they deserve our respect just for the sake of that they are men. And I think that acknowledging their leadership benefited us. Fighting against it and calling it oppression doesn't benefit us because it's a lie. We don't live in an oppressive, we've never had in the West, we've not had an oppressive patriarchy. We've had a benevolent patriarchy with God at the top. And that young lady absolutely needed that masculine influence. And she was quiet and listening to Kevin. She was listening to him. I mean, I don't know how much of it really sunk in because it was a lot, but she wasn't interrupting him. She wasn't being rude. It's just such a waste, you know. But I do appreciate Mr. Samuels and every single one of his shows. There's just these nuggets of truth that it's like nobody was really saying. And nobody that I know of was talking to women this way. And he was making a difference. Imagine how big his whole platform would be now if he hadn't have passed away. He was making a difference, making a huge difference. So, I mean, you just don't get the same thing from the Whatever podcasts. They're meant to be adversarial, which is entertaining. But I feel like Kevin Samuels really wanted to have some progress with these women, really actually wanted to help. I don't think it was just, about entertainment and getting people to see. I think he really wanted to teach these women, because you will hear, if you watch enough of his shows like I have, I think every single one, he talks about how his mom was single for a while and he was worried that she was gonna, get old and die alone. And she finally kind of got over herself and married a good average man. And she was happy. And you can tell when you listen to him that he was relieved from that. Didn't want his mom to be old and alone and, having to just support herself. And it's just we're not meant to be alone. People aren't meant to be alone, but especially not women, because biologically in this world, we're not physically fit to, deal with the elements and nature the same way men are. So we don't do well when we are alone. And he was, he wanted to protect his mom from that. And it seems like after that, and I'm reading a lot into it, but I still think I'm right. He kept helping the women like his mother, so they wouldn't end up with the same fate. So, R.I.P. Godfather. Hope you guys have had a great day. I hope you're protecting your peace. I hope you're feeding your souls. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.